Hello everyone. So welcome back to another tutorial on Arduino. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to interface a button to my Arduino. So I have already set up my circuit and it is similar to what we did in my previous video. So if you haven't seen that, I interfaced an RGB LED with my Arduino. You can click on the I button to get to that video. So I'm going to start with the same code. So this is my previous code. So I'm going to build up on this code itself. So to interface a button, so we need a resistor, we need a button, and we need to make some connections to plus 5 volt and the pin on which we are going to read the button status. So this is the circuit diagram. So I have connected D10, D11, D12 to the RGB LED legs. D7 is connected to the push button and plus 5 volt is also connected to the push button. I've also connected a pull down resistor to the junction of D7 pin and the switch. So the requirement for resistor is we need to pull down our output so that we can read 0 as the initial value. So let me quickly define my button pin first. So I've connected my LED button or the button on pin 7, D7 actually. Alright. So this is the nano board. So I've already connected my RGB LED to pins D10, D11 and D12, and this button this pin right here is the D7 pin, and I've connected one side of the button to this pin and the other side of the button is connected to this plus 5 volt right here, and on the same pin where I have attached the button, I have used the pull down resistor. Alright, so let us define the input pin first, right? So in my last video I didn't use the const keyword. Alright, so in this video I'm going to use it. So what this keyword means is that I'm telling the compiler that these variables or these values will not change during the entire run of my code. So that's why I'm telling it that this is a const value. So since our leg pins will never change during the entire duration of the execution, we'll define it as const. Let me add some comments also. Let us define one more pin that we will use to read the input from the button. I'm again going to define it as a const value. So I'm going to name it as button underscore pin, and I'm going to set it with 7 as value. Alright, so these are constant values and these will never change during the entire run of our tutorial or the run of the execution of the program, but we need some more variables which will change during the execution of the program. So for that we are going to define variables without the const keyword, and what I want to do is I want to store the button state. Alright, so this will be helpful to read the status of the button and then update the pin number or let's say to change the color of the LED better. So initially I'll keep it at low. This means that none of the LED will be on at this point. Next, I want to store which LED is currently glowing or which color is RGB producing at the moment. So for that, I'm going to use LED status. So initially I'm going to pass it a value 0. Alright, so we'll map some values with this. Alright, 0 means that the red flag will be on. If it is 1, that means the green one will be on, and if it is 2, that means the blue one will glow. Alright, so currently we are going to use these two variables only. Alright, so let's change the pin mode for button pin also, and we are going to say it as input pin. Alright, so this is the setup. Alright, fine. So first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to read the status of this button pin. For that we are going to use digital read method or digital read function, and we are going to pass button underscore pin as the variable. All right, next we are going to assign this value to one of our variables, which is button state, equals to digital read. Alright, so what we are going to do is whenever we receive a high value on the button, at that instant we are going to change the color of the LED. So for that we are going to use if else construct. Alright, so if button state equals to high. Alright, so what we are going to tell it, we are going to tell to change the color of the LED. So again we'll need one more if statement to find out which buttons we need to change, which LED we need to glow. So let us use the if button here, or the if construct here. LED status equals to 0. Alright, then perform something. And if the LED status equals to 1, turn the green LED on, and else if LED status equals to 2, turn the blue LED on. Let me quickly add the LED here also, just for the consistency sake. Alright, so this is the structure of our LED, and we need to do one more thing. So since the current status is 0 and we are turning the red LED on, what we want to do is we want to increase the LED status by 1. Alright, so I'm using plus equal operator here, and this is exactly same as alright. So that was the shorthand operator for plus, and this is the complete one. So I'm going to use the same thing here also, and again in this scenario. So you'll notice that when it reaches 2, the LED status will become 3. So this status value will read plus 1. If we change it to plus 1 after its value is 2, it will go to 3. And as you can see that none of our if else block will work. So the solution for this is that after this status block completes, we need to reinitialize our LED status to 0. Alright, so on word term, and if it is greater than equal to 3, alright, so what will happen when the status pin becomes 3 or greater, then it will reinitialize it to 0. Alright, so this is the structure to turn on different LEDs based on the LED status pin and the button state. So what we need to do is we just need to copy this whole code and paste it right here. Alright, so since this was to turn the red one on, so I'm using it exactly same in this block. Alright, so same will go for this block, and we will use it right here. And this last one that turns the blue one on, we will use it right here. Alright, so we have added the code to turn different LEDs on based on this LED status. Alright, and we have added the code to change the LED status once it has displayed all 3 LED lights, and we don't need this delay anymore. Alright, so let us switch on the Arduino and plug it in so that we can upload it. So let us check if our Arduino is connected. As you can see, my Arduino is connected to COM3 port. Alright, so let us upload this sketch. So it is done uploading. So let us test the button. Alright, so as you can see that the red one is glowing now. Let us change it now. Alright, so it moved to the blue one, and it again stayed on the blue state. It turned to red, so it turned to green. So there is one problem here, right? It is not behaving as we expected it to behave. So when we push the button, it like goes to a random color and switches on the random block. So how to deal with this situation? So there is something like rising edge and a trailing edge. So you see when our what do you say, when the button is pushed, it doesn't pass the high value once. It keeps on passing until the button is pushed. So during that push of the button, it continuously changes the state. So state of the button state variable multiple times. So there is a way to overcome this problem. So let me quickly show you how we can deal with it. All right. So what we need to do is we need to store this button state in one more variable, or we can call it we need to store the previous state of the button to some variable. Let me define it quickly. We will initialize it with low currently. All right. So what we need to do is we need to update our code only when we receive a difference between the state button state and the previous button state. So we can say when there is the rising edge of the input, when our input is going from 0 to 1 or low to high, at that instant only we want to change the color of the LED. So for that we need to detect when there is some change between the previous state of the LED and the current state of the not the LED, the previous state of the button and the current state of the button. So for that what we can do is we can define one more if statement. If button state not equal to previous button state. All right. So what we are telling the Arduino is that go in this block only if the current button state is different from the previous button state, right? So at this time only we want to do something. So if we are receiving the same input multiple times, whether it is 0 or 1, don't do anything, just move on to the next iteration of the loop. So this code here will get us that instant or the first time the button the change in the state of the button is detected, and we are going to pick this whole code, all right, and put it inside this if statement. So I'll explain it. Let me quickly set it. All right, so first was to detect the change in the state of the button. Next we are telling it to change the LED only when the button of state changes from low value to the high value. All right. So if current state is high and if button state is different from previous state, that means the previous state of the button was low. So then only it will get into this if block. And when the current state of the button is high, so then only we want to perform the change in the LED color. All right. So after this we want to do one more thing. We want to store this button state or the previous current button state in the previous button state variable. All right. So let us quickly update equals to button state. All right. So what it will do is the current state of the button will be stored in our previous button state, and when the loop starts again, this button state will become the current state and this will had the value that came before this iteration. All right. So let us save our sketch and let us upload it again. So the light turned off and it is done uploading. So let us try it again. Alright, so it turned on the red LED, and that is our code. So let us switch it again. So as you can see that it turned the green LED this time. So let me push it again. So it again turned it to blue LED. So now what I want to do is, let me push it once more. Let's see what happens. So that's it. So it again comes back to the red color. So as you can see, if I push the button multiple times, and it will respond to the exact push of the button. So this is because we use the rising edge, or the instant when the status of the input pin changes from low to a high value. At that instant only we are turning the color of the LED to a different color. That's why it is running correctly at this instant. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, do like it, subscribe to my channel for more upcoming videos on Arduino and some other amazing cool projects that I am going to prepare. And if you have any doubt, you can leave it in the comment box. I'll try my best to provide you with the best possible answer. Thank you.